Alright, well, we have another Star Trek movie that has debuted called Star Trek Into Darkness. Hopefully you Star Trek fans who are really hardcore have seen it already. This actually debuted back in April 2013 back in Sydney, but for most of us it's debuted in May 2013. And specifically with the US and Canada, it debuted on May 16th. And actually a day before, it was only in IMAX theaters on the 3D version. I actually got the privilege to see that, so that was a lot of fun. Now this one was written by Roberto Orci, Alex Kurtzman, Damon Lindelof, and of course directed by J.J. Abrams, who did the previous version. I think it's kind of interesting that J.J. Abrams is actually having an influence in both Star Trek and Star Wars now, so that'll be kind of interesting because those two franchises are often compared with one another, saying which one is better than the other. But anyways, I am going to be talking about some plot spoilers here. So those of you who have not seen the movie, I recommend that you actually hold off on this review until you've actually seen it, because I will be talking about some things that will definitely be giving away stuff if you haven't seen this already. So basically the plot line of this particular episode, and I call it an episode because this is the original series, and they are in that attire from the original series, but it's a movie at the same time. Anyways, the plot line with this. The Enterprise crew is actually on a planet that is quite primitive, and they're in the middle of trying to escape, actually, from these people. And at the same time, Spock is in danger. He's in the middle of some molten lava, and Kirk decides to violate the Prime Directive by rescuing him. These people have not seen any type of technology, but the Enterprise is actually rising above some water that they were hiding under. And of course, they expose themselves. The primitive people actually see this and start drawing a picture of the Enterprise in the sand and start bowing down before it. And when after Kirk rescues Spock, of course, they return to Earth, and he's demoted back to a first officer again for his actions. And Pike kind of chastises him for not taking the Prime Directive seriously and his job seriously, and Pike is actually set to become captain once again of the Enterprise. Well, at the same time, of course, the Enterprise is called into action along with a bunch of other ships because there is a meeting going on about an attack that has occurred in London. Now, this person is actually a Starfleet agent known as John Harrison. And while the meeting is going on, Kirk starts thinking, well, why are we all together? All these top brass are all together. He seems to feel like something is funny going on. And sure enough, John Harrison shows up and attacks this meeting, and Pike is actually killed in the process. So Kirk is actually reinstated once again as captain, and Spock joins him once again, and they're headed out to kill John Harrison. Now, I won't reveal the entire plot for those who have ignored my previous warning and still watch it, but I warn you, there are still some spoilers that I'm going to talk about here. And the first spoiler that I want to talk about is, of course, the fact that John Harrison is actually Khan. Now, there has been a lot of talk. I remember back January of this year, there were some rumors going on that Khan was going to appear in this film. If any of you had seen my previous YouTube channel, I had speculated about that. And the reason was, on the trailer, I saw a Vulcan Live Long and Prosper sign on a bunch of plexiglass, and that reminded me of the final scene in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, as Spock dies and Kirk and Spock are separated by that glass. Well, I think a lot of the producers and everyone involved in the film probably caught on that there were rumors, so they said, oh, this guy, the villain is named John Harrison. He is somebody from Kirk's past, but his name is John Harrison. So that was an attempt to throw a lot of people off, thinking, oh, well, maybe it's not Khan, maybe it's just some random guy. And, of course, we realize, after watching the film, well, yes, his name is Harrison, but his real name is revealed to be Khan. And I have to admit, I I didn't like this Khan as much as Ricardo Montalban. I don't think you can really top Ricardo Montalban's portrayal as Khan, because that was just done so well and so distinctive. And this version of Khan, he's good and he's powerful, but I don't think he had the same impact on me as Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. But I was pleased that Khan actually was in this film, and it was fun to see. I think what was an even more of a surprise was that Leonard Nimoy appears in a cameo role as Spock Prime. Now, he isn't given a lot of screen time and isn't given a lot to do, although he is is the guy who gives the background about Khan. So Spock decides to contact him, and Spock Prime reveals to Spock that this Khan is somebody not to be trusted, and they were able to defeat Khan, but at quite a cost. And he just kind of leaves it at that for those who haven't seen the other movies, but we all know, those of us who are hardcore Trekkies, what he means by that. So, my thoughts on Leonard Nimoy in the film. I was glad to see him. I was not necessarily expecting him, though I wondered if he might make an appearance. I wish I could have seen him more and he was given more to do, but just the natural plot of this episode, that would have been difficult to do, and to put Leonard Nimoy in a logical fashion, if I should say that. So, that was fun, though. It was fun to see Leonard Nimoy. Now, we also find out one of the characters, who is known as Carol Marcus, appears in this episode, too. And, of course, Carol Marcus we also remember from Wrath of Khan. I kind of wondered if Kirk and Carol would hook up during this film, but that might be saved for previous or forthcoming movies, and we'll see that develop and maybe see more of David Marcus later on. As far as the film itself, I think it has a lot of exciting action in it, and it was interesting to see how they twisted, since this is an alternate timeline now, they reversed the roles of Kirk and Spock from Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and now it's Kirk who saves the ship and sacrifices himself. Of course, this is only the second time we've seen Chris Pine as Kirk, so they decide that they're not going to kill him off necessarily in this episode, and he is revived. Now, I felt like the way he is revived was extremely convenient. Bones just so happens to have a triple on board that he's been experimenting with, and they find out that the superhumans are able to revive dead tissue. So the triple comes back to life, and Dr. McCoy realizes, hey, we can revive Kirk this way. So at the time when I first saw it, I thought, oh yeah, that's why they had that triple in there. But after the movie, I reflected on it, and I thought, boy, that was awfully convenient that they did that. So those couple things, I felt like, that's kind of a stretch. But at the same time, I have to admit that this movie was a lot of fun, just as the other movie was, and I do recommend this film for anyone who hasn't seen it and didn't care that I revealed all that stuff. It is worth your time, and it's a lot of fun to see. Very entertaining. I do have to say that I feel like I'm still trying to get over from the last movie why, when Vulcan blew up, no one thought to go back in time and fix that. Especially since Spock Prime reveals the time has been altered. And no one has really given me a good explanation of why they didn't think of doing that. The only reason why I've heard about that is because, of course, if they did restore the timeline, then all these movies couldn't be made, because this is the direction they're going. And obviously, of course, that's the case. But at the same time, I wish, plot-wise, they had a real logical reason why they didn't do that. I mean, in Star Trek First Contact, as soon as the Borg alter history and change the course of events, and they assimilate all of Earth, the first thing that Picard does is he pursues the Borg and goes back in time to repair the damage that has been done. That doesn't even seem to occur to anyone in this particular movie. So, I guess I just have to get over that, because that's what they're planning to do, just to continue with this alternate universe here. So yes, I recommend Star Trek Into Darkness. I think it's great entertainment. I think it's gone a little bit far now from the TV show that was really morality plays disguised as science fiction. Now it's just plain action-adventure like Star Wars, but it's good action-adventure. It's fun to watch. So yeah, watch the movie if you haven't seen it. Watch it again if you've seen it once. It's worth seeing again in theaters. And I would also, if you enjoyed this review and love Star Trek The Next Generation, I encourage you to go to my YouTube channel. My name is Bob the Business Builder, and business is actually spelled Bizness, and then you'll be able to find my name. And I encourage you to subscribe to my channel because you'll be getting, I'm going to be reviewing every single episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. At present, I am near the end of the first season, but I plan to review all the episodes. So if you think that'll be fun, I encourage you to watch those episodes again with me. And I give you a lot of tidbits, not only on the plot, but just what went into the making of that movie, how it was reviewed, and just a lot of good nuggets with that. So it's a lot of fun. So yeah, again, my name is Bob the Business Builder, Bizness, and go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and you can follow along with me. Thanks for watching, guys.